Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Creators Corner here with TubeBuddy. Really excited about today's session. We're going to be talking about really what's more important, quality or quantity when it comes to YouTube content. And I am super excited to be bringing on my good friend George B. Thomas into this show today. And we're going to be hearing from him, learning from him. We're going to be doing Q&A with George. And so if you guys don't know George, he is the host of Sprocket Talk on YouTube. It's an amazing channel. It's a HubSpot Sprocket Talk. So he's an inbound marketing marketer. He's a video Jedi. He's a HubSpot certified trainer with over 25 years of sales and marketing experience. He leads the Impulse Creative Crew in HubSpot certifications with 21 courses, including inbound, email, contextual, and content marketing. And Impulse Creative, George utilizes his love of teaching and learning to help companies find their way to grow via workshops, speaking engagements during when we can travel, a lot of virtual stuff right now, business audits, and the Sprocket Talk educational community and platform. He's based in North Carolina. And he loves his wife, his 4 kids, and really hanging out with them. And, outside of that, he spends time focusing and strategizing about the future. So really excited to bring George on today. If you guys are joining us, I see Brad, I see everyone here on all the different channels. Really excited to bring George on today. But before we do, I want to make sure I invite you guys to our weekly TubeBuddy 101. If you guys are new to TubeBuddy, you guys need to join us here. It's me and Andrew Can from the TubeBuddy team. And each week on Tuesday, so this is happening tomorrow, we go live and we do a full training of TubeBuddy and also do live Q&A. So come in, join us. You'll learn some things about TubeBuddy, but also you'll be able to learn some things about YouTube as well. So just go to tubebuddy.com/101, and that's where you'll find us. So I'm going to bring my good friend George on here. Just give me 2 seconds. Let me figure this out here. And we're going to bring George. Hey, George, how's it going, man?
Good, Rob. Good. The only thing we forgot is I like long walks on the beach in that intro. I swear. Come on.
Long walks on the beach. What do you like for, what kind of wine do you like, right?
Yeah.
All the important things. No, this is awesome. George, why don't you say hello to everyone before we dive into some questions and discuss quality versus quantity on YouTube. So take it away and say hello to everyone out there.
Yeah, hello everyone out there. George B. Thomas from Impulse Creative, aka Sprockettalk.com. We're going to talk about that today. I'm super excited to be here. I'm going to just really try to make this a value-packed moment in time for you. I'm going to be very authentic, very transparent, very human. In other words, happy, helpful, humble human for this time frame. So I'm excited to get into the conversation around quality versus quantity. It's quite interesting, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit.
Awesome. George, really excited to be with you here, man. So guys, if you guys are tuning in, you're live, let us know what questions you have. Let us know where you're from and really what your YouTube channel is about, right? This is a conversation and we want to speak contextually to what you guys are going through with your channels and your content. George is an amazing content creator. George, we get to hang out. We've hung out like a few times at different conferences. The last one was in San Diego. Hopefully, more soon once things are able, we're able to travel again. But really excited, man. Okay, so first, tell us about your channel. Let's start there, and then we'll dive into some questions here.
Yeah, definitely. So Sprocket Talk is a channel that's very niche. It's specific to HubSpot. HubSpot is a marketing, sales, and service tool. It's around lead generation, marketing automation, email, forms, conversions, conversion rates, service tickets, sales, pipelines. In other words, it's a massive tool that is what I will call sometimes complex. And so there are a lot of HubSpot users out there that might need to understand how to do something and then get back to work. And so many years ago, I started doing HubSpot tutorials. They kind of were the foundation or base, or might I say quantity of what has now become or created Sprocket Talk. Because that was started almost 2 years ago as far as the content creation. But every day we're trying to figure out what are the problems that people have when it comes to all of these things that HubSpot can do. And we create content, educational content that is somewhat entertaining so that they don't hate watching it. They can learn what they need to learn and get back to work. But that's just the channel. And what I want everybody to realize is the channel is kind of the precursor to everything else that we want to do for them, or the places that we want to get them. As you're looking at the channel, a couple of things that hopefully you'll pay attention to is that we're very consistent in the branding, the colors, the thumbnails. You know exactly what you're going to get when you get there. So it's a matter of like, oh, these are HubSpot tutorials on the weekly basis. And here's the different categories that I can go down to. You have a problem with the forms tool, go here. The email tool, go here. Trying to figure this thing out or don't understand what it is, go here. So there is a method to the madness, which is probably one thing that we should say, Rob, is with this quality versus quantity conversation, don't even have that until you have the strategy conversation. It's strategy, and then figure out what you think about the quality versus quantity conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to have a game plan first. And I love that. I love that. And you guys clearly have your game plan. I mean, I don't know how long the game plan took to establish, but you guys definitely have your game plan as far as like content, your thumbnails, how often you're uploading, all that stuff. So let's dive into this question. This is really the big question of the day, is quality over quantity. So guys, let us know in the comments right now, what do you think is more important? The quality of your videos or the quantity of your videos? Now, George, I think, a lot of people will want to say both. Right? They want to say both. Of course, both is important. But if you were focusing on one, what do you think you are focusing on? Are you focusing more on quantity or quality? So George, you take it away. You answer that question for us.
Let's take a step back, because I agree. The punchline, right? The place that we're going to get at the very end of this video, of this live session, of this hanging out with really great people, the punchline is going to be both.
Yeah.
The problem is, if we start at the very beginning, I believe the question in itself is very esoterical and subjective. And what I mean by that is, if you ask somebody what is quality, or if you ask a group of people what is quality, you are going to get vastly different responses. And here's the problem. When you think of the word quality now, what most people, especially in the creative space or the video space, are thinking of is they're thinking of this Hollywood production value, like this almost unachievable by any singular human or small team. And that doesn't necessarily equal quality, right? Everybody's hung up on this creative mode mindset. Like, for instance, web design. You talk to a designer, they're always doing this like 6 pixels to the left, 6 pixels to the right. They're paralyzed by perfection versus being able to be hitting that publish button. So a lot of times quality equals you're paralyzed by perfection. And here's the thing. If you're paralyzed by that perfection, if you're not hitting the publish button, nobody can see it. And if nobody can see it, then it can't be quality or quantity. So you're literally cutting yourself off at the beginning. Now, when we think about quantity, and again, remember, esoterical and subjective, what's a lot for you, Rob? I don't know. What's a lot for me? Sometimes I don't even know the answer to that question. But if you ask somebody, well, what's a lot of video uploads, or what's a lot of content creation? For somebody, it might be 1 a week. That's a lot. For somebody, it might be once a day. That's a lot. For somebody, it might be 2 or 3 a day. That's a lot. And so you have to really wrap your brain around, like, there's not this necessarily magical number or this magical thing around quality versus quantity. Now, there are times, and we'll get into this, when I think one trumps the other. But I also think first, maybe we talk about a mindset, Rob. Do you want to talk about like the mindset that I have around quality versus quantity and what I actually think they are, even though many times we don't think about them that way?
Yeah, I would definitely love to hear that. There's some really good comments here. Tad Dixon says, don't be paralyzed by perfection. Loves that nugget. Also, Daryl Stevens says, I'm just getting started with a new YouTube channel. I'm pretty focused on quality over quantity by nature. I suspect that will change as I create more content. I think a lot of content creators are like that, George, right? We're putting ourselves out there. And so you focus on the quality and you're like, man, it's just not good enough. Let me spend some more time editing it and like maybe putting some more B-roll or, all those little things that we all think about. And like what you said, though, if you don't put it out there, nobody gets the value from it, regardless of what the quality is. So yeah, let's talk about that first. Go for it.
So let's talk about that one before we dive into what I wanted to go into. If you're just getting started on YouTube, my personal opinion, you can agree with me or disagree with me. My personal opinion is it is quantity when you're first getting started out, because it's all about velocity. It's about having 50 worms in the pond instead of 5 worms in the pond. And so, and here's the thing. If you have 50 videos over a 2-week period, that's 50 videos that people can like. That's 50 videos that people can share. And sure, are they going to be a little messy at the beginning because you're learning? Yes, but they're going to get better over time, and they're going to get better quicker because you're focused on velocity and quantity. Quality will come. Look, we've probably all heard that story about the pot professor who is like, here, this side of the group, you make 1 pot. This side of the group, you make as many pots as you can. And inevitably, at the end of the day, the people who made as many pots as they could had a better pot to show than the people who are only focused on 1 pot. Quality versus quantity. So if you're new, more. And you learn through the process. You learn through the process. Look, my first video was garbage. Garbage. Like, it was literally
let's watch
photo.
That right now. No.
Yeah, right. It's not on Sprocket Talk, but before Sprocket Talk, like my first HubSpot tutorial, it was a photo of me leaning against a brick wall. I had 3 HubSpot certification icons on it. It was a voiceover that went into a screen recording, and the audio was terrible. There was like no video element of it, but it was terrible. But here's the thing. It was amazing. It was amazing because it was my first one. And it set me out on this journey that has now created what Sprocket Talk is now, what the videos are now, what the quality is now. But let me dive into this, because this, I think, is important. I think that quality can be a checklist, right? So when you think about quality, it's do I have the strategy? Check. Do I have the lighting? Check. Do I have good sound? Check. Do I have a great background? Check. Do I have post-production effects or elements? Check. Have I worked on my own personal communication techniques by reading or listening to things like Steal the Show, or, like focusing on the words that are going to come out my mouth in a way that it's storytelling form or things like that? Check. Have I done the research? Check. Like, if you can go down this check of those things, that's going to help boost the quality of what you're actually creating. Now, quantity, I think, if we think of it in the right way, it's a management or time management / process / goals working in perfect harmony. And what I mean is, you have to ask yourself, is my success important? Which, by the way, most of the times, yes, of course, my success is important. It's my success. Well, how fast do you want to get there? If you want to get there in 2 years, do a video a week. If you want to get there in, a year, do 3 videos a week. If you want to get there in 6 months, do 2 videos a day. Like, that's why I'm talking about this velocity, right? And here's the thing. You have to ask yourself, if my success is important, and if quality or quantity is about time management, process, and goals in perfect harmony, where am I trying to get to? Check. How many videos do I have to do a day to get there? Check. And does this process, this journey that I'm going on, does it trump entertainment? Does it trump relaxation? Does it trump, and you fill in the blank, what is taking your time now, right? And the other part of this is, when you get into actually making the videos and that time management process, is how can you remove all the hurdles, what I like to call time thieves. Right? How are you creating video now, and what steps can you remove from it so you can create it faster? Can you add somebody onto your team to do the editing? Can you make it so your videos record right to your computer so you don't have to actually pull out a card? Can you make it so it's almost being edited in real time with something like, Ecamm Live or something like those lines? Like, how can you simplify, or how can you cut out things from the process so that you can create them quicker? So kind of, again, as a recap, when you think about quality, it should be a checklist mentality. When you think about quantity, it's time management. So now, if you think about it in those 2 ways, you realize those actually merge quite well. I've got my checklist and I'm managing my time. It's quality and quantity at the same time. It's not this or that. it becomes both over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that, George. And I think it's also that quantity leads to quality. Like you're saying there, right? You know, if you're just starting out, create lots of content because it's not really about getting subscribers. Yes, it is about velocity, all those things. But from personal experience, it's so that you can learn your workflow. Like you said, all those things. Should I be recording on a, SD card, or should I just record it directly into my MacBook using, a software like Camtasia or something else like that, so that I don't have to, it'll save me 5 minutes, from transferring from the SD card to, my MacBook and stuff like that, right? So there's all those little things that you learn to sort of like streamline your process, because I'm sure you didn't get to uploading, 2 to 3 to 4 videos a week overnight, right? It's comes over time. And so, I love that. There's some really good comments here. Brad Friedman, mutual friend of ours, says, can we think of quantity as consistency and then figure out how consistent we can be, then build from there? I think that's really exactly it. Andrew says, former boss in local TV always said perfect is the enemy of good. Very, very true. Very true. There's some really good questions here as well. How do we get to 1,000 subscribers and things like that? We'll dive into that here.
That's easy. That, by the way, that part's easy. That part's easy if you focus on strategy, if you focus on velocity, volume. Like if you focus on what we're talking about right now, the getting to 1,000 subscribers is the easy part. Like that, then you're talking about tactics. Right. And tactics are always easy once you get everything else in place. You get 0 subscribers if you do like no videos. Like if you're paralyzed by perfection, you'll be at 0 to 1 subscribers for a long, long time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, no, it definitely is more secondary, especially when you're starting off, 1,000 subscribers, all these milestones. I'm in the middle of that right now, right? So I just got to 1,000 subscribers on my personal channel. And it's true. It is like something that you focus on. It's like that one metric that's really easy to focus in on. But then you realize that there's so many other things that you should be looking at as well. And I want to talk about this, George, because guys, we're going to look at George's channel here really quickly. But George, I want to point this out because I think it's really important. You have a thriving business. You have an agency side to this whole thing. It's not just a channel, a YouTube channel. You're not just a YouTube creator. You're a marketer. You run an agency with an entire team. And so, but you guys are doing this with a relatively small channel, and it's like almost 3,000 subscribers. But we were talking about this before we went live. You're talking about a specific topic, HubSpot, right? Yeah. And so HubSpot is not cheap, and very, very smart of you guys to focus on that. So tell us a little bit about that. Like as a small channel, what are some of the things behind the scenes that maybe we don't see that you guys are doing as far as revenue and business?
Yeah, let me tie this all in together with what we were just saying, where you want to go. First of all, one of the kind of hidden secrets that we don't necessarily talk about a lot, but probably should be said more often on the interwebs, is that for us, it doesn't come down to the amount of subscribers that we have or that we get. It comes down to how is this one video going to help that one person achieve that one thing that is a hurdle for them right now, and then do that 1,000 times. Because if you solve that one person's problem 1,000 times, or it's 1,000 different people, now all of a sudden you've got your subscribers. But your goal was never to be getting these subscribers. The goal was to help these people. If you use your channel to help people unlock their own possibilities, get past the hurdles or potholes that are happening in their business or their life, that's when people are like, yes, I want more of that. Let me subscribe. So when you're going at this, though, there should be a method to your madness. I'll say a deeper level, if you will, when it comes to your YouTube channel. So, for instance, there's a lot of my friends out there that they're like, I want to be a YouTuber, and so I'm going to create videos and I'm going to monetize my channel, but I got to work towards those subscribers and I got to work towards that watch time. And so the metrics the mentality becomes about the metrics instead of the mentality about how can you create content that changes people's lives and helps them in their daily walk, again, professional or personal here. Now, if you have this lower foundation built, which we do for Sprocket Talk, then you can kind of waver away from needing to worry about that metrics and monetization just on the YouTube channel, which I will probably share a little bit about our journey to monetization and then what we did with it. But in this case, right, we have Sprockettalk.com, which is a startup inside of our agency, which is Impulse Creative. So right there is two foundational pieces. We know people that if they're HubSpot users, they may need HubSpot services or marketing services or sales services or teachings, education. We can send them over to Impulse Creative. We can redesign your website on the HubSpot CMS. We can build workflows for you. We can build lead nurturing, email sequences for you. We can do all the things that you may need and not have time to do over at Impulse Creative, the agency. Or if you're just trying to educate yourself and you do have time to do those things, now you can become a free or a paid member of Sprockettalk.com, where you then get access to more video tutorials, more HubSpot updates, more interviews, more webinars, and in the future, maybe members only podcasts and things like that because you're a paid member. Right. So there's two foundational pieces. We can make money from the agency side. We can make money from the Impulse Creative, or the agency side, Impulse Creative, and the Sprocket Talk membership side, as well as we have courses that you can go and either pay for a course, or if you're a member, you get the course for free, or you get the course for a discounted rate, depending on the course. So you can see there's a bunch of different roads that they can travel down to either educate themselves for free or educate themselves as a paid user. But it's not then us worrying about, well, how do we monetize our YouTube channel? It's not even really us worrying about how do we be like affiliates for these different softwares, other than because this is a niche channel about HubSpot tutorials, updates, interviews, things like that. We are a HubSpot partner. Well, if you look into the HubSpot partner program, you realize that anybody that you sign up for HubSpot services, that you actually get 20% of whatever that ticket is. And again, I don't know if anybody has gone over to the HubSpot pricing page lately, but that stuff ain't cheap, people. So 20% of however many people you can sign up over time, because you're the ultimate resource on these things that is HubSpot, it becomes a little bit of money over time, right? And so we're monetizing in so many different ways that have nothing to do with our YouTube channel, that gives us the freedom to really focus on, again, how do we create this one video that solves that one problem for that one person? And how do we rinse and repeat that as many times as we can? Quantity, in a way that people want to watch. It's entertaining, the lighting, the sound, the guy on screen like knows how to communicate. Quality, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
I love that. I love that, man. You just dropped it so hard there. Like it's, there's again, guys, I talked to a lot of YouTube creators, and the really successful ones, they've really used YouTube, yes, as a platform, obviously building community and stuff, but there's a lot of things that they've also built behind the scenes, right? There's a talk at Vid Summit where we were both at, and one of the speakers there, she said, like, stop creating content and really build a business behind your content. Set up the things to build an email list. How do you monetize your audience, right? Start building those things and then create more content. Content is easy to create, and I know Stuart Video here said, like, easy question mark. Yes, it is difficult, right? It's relatively easy compared to all the other things that a YouTube creator does as far as business wise. So if if you have you probably agree, George, like if you have a passion, it's something you enjoy, maybe a hobby, you don't have to worry about email lists and all these things, memberships and courses and stuff. But if you want to build a business like Sprocket Talk has and Impulse Creative has, then you definitely have to think about all these things. But this is awesome. Stephanie Carper says, hello, good morning, Rob and George. And also our friend, Matthew from Atomic Darts. He was just on the show. He says, it should never be about the money. Awesome. And then Ali Cat also has some question, but she says, wow, after seeing all of the things behind the scenes that you guys are doing. Awesome. Okay. So George, let's talk about your actual upload schedule and the quantity versus quality. So speaking directly to you guys, like I said, you guys, I'm going to share the screen here with your channel, but you guys upload multiple times each week. So what's your process? Just take us through a regular week in George's life as far as creating content. How often how do you spend a day? How does that work?
Yeah. So it's funny. I'm going to try to tie all of this.
Yeah.
Because there's the easy question mark, right? Yes, easy. Because here's what we do. For most of the time, we're listening to what people are having problems with. We're in our Facebook group, we're in our Slack channels, on Twitter, whatever. People are saying, hey, I've got a problem with this, or I can't figure out how to do this, or how can you do that? We're totally paying attention to all of those customer questions. So therefore, the content strategy becomes easy, because if they ask, you answer, which, by the way, is a methodology from my friend Marcus Sheridan that I learned years ago. And if they ask, we answer. It just so happens that we're answering in video forms in HubSpot tutorials, but we're paying attention. We're listening to the community that is already in different places around what we're doing. Now, when you talk about how do we upload, or what does our schedule look like, here's the thing. We at least try to do 2 to 3 videos a week. Notice I said at least. There are some days where I've done 2 to 3 videos a day, because it was needed for the process. It was needed for the potential customers. It was needed because there was a gap in education on a new tool or something that happened. And so really it comes down to, how do we make this as simple as possible? How do we make it easy? Look, I don't know if you can tell right now, but where I stand, the camera is always set up. The computer is always here. The mic is always here. The lights are always here. There's a little switch to the Sprocket Talk sign that I have to turn on. There's a remote where I turn my little TV on. I've got 6 buttons over here that does all the lighting. When I say I get an idea for a video, I go, ooh, there's an idea for a video. I literally, over there at my workstation, create the screen recording of what's going to happen in a HubSpot. I then flip over to a template for a script that I have, and I write out kind of my talking points that I want to talk about for my intro and my outro, which, if you go watch the videos, you'll notice a lot of my intro and outro are quite the same, because again, we're trying to get them to go to sprockettalk.com. We're trying to get them to know that there's other actionable tips, tricks over at sprockettalk.com. We want them to know that it's a community. We want them to know that we want to be their BFFs, not that we just want to monetize them, right? So there's all these pieces that are already in place. So now I literally flip this switch, flip those switches, and hit record. Then after I record, I simply go back over, I edit it up, and I publish it, edit it up, and I publish it. And sometimes I'll create 2, 3, 4 videos at one time. Think bulk. How can you bulk record? How can you bulk edit? Now, how can you bulk upload, right? So again, a lot of this was, how do you cut things out? One of the things that we learned a long time ago is, if we're going to have a membership area, our membership videos are going to be in something like Wistia, so we can track who's watching them, how much they're watching them. Well, then why would I re-upload it to YouTube versus using Wistia's built-in ability to just publish it from Wistia to YouTube? Again, now I don't have to sit around and wait. It uploads it. Now I go over, I do my fine tuning with TubeBuddy. I go through my fine tuning with TubeBuddy. I'm just going to throw that out there real quick. And then I publish it to my community. But I skipped a step. I skipped that other upload that I had to sit and wait and go use the bathroom or get a drink of coffee or like twiddle my thumbs. No, I let the system, I let the machines do it, right? So there's a lot in there. It's all about having things already set up. It's about having things created in bulk. And it's about letting the machine do a lot of the processes that you don't want to do manually. That's how you start to create 2, 3, 4 videos a week, 2, 3 videos a day. And by the way, for me, I'm super passionate about other people's success. Like if you go to my personal website, it's literally a catalyst for growth. That's what I'm all about. So for me, when I ask that a beginning question, Rob, about what is your success important? Yeah, my success is important, but the other people's success is important. And therefore, I'm willing to put the time in to get these videos out. I'm worried about velocity. I'm worried about the volume, because I know there's this underlying strategy, this underlying business that we're trying to grow, but I also understand that we're impacting the world. We're putting a little dent in the universe with every video that we create.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And again, we keep coming back to velocity. This is really important, guys. So yeah, I mean, the more, like you said there, George, earlier, the more, what was it? The more worms you put out there, right? Like the more things you put out there.
Fishing. It's like fishing, right? You got 50 worms or you got 5 worms in the pond.
Yeah,
how many fish are you going to catch, right?
I love it. No, this is so good. Okay, George, talk to us for a lot of people that are coming up with their channels, right? On the rise and growing their channels, one of the things, and personally myself as well, monetization, right, on YouTube. So direct monetization with AdSense. So talk to us about that and what you guys have done and kind of the decisions you guys made once you got monetization and why.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting story because honestly, for us, monetization was like this mythical unicorn that we didn't ever think that we would hit, because the idea of getting 1,000 subscribers for people just watching HubSpot tutorials that were going to be used more in search, social, and sales as like just a tool that we had the ability to leverage. 1,000 subscribers sounded like it was going to be crazy talk. And then watch time was like, yeah, right. Like when, how, like how are people going to watch that much HubSpot tutorials? And actually what's funny is it took us about a little over a year, and all of a sudden our channel got unlocked for monetization. And to be honest, it was like wow, okay, holy crap. We didn't think that we'd actually get here, but we got here. And again, remember, we had this foundational piece at the bottom. So we knew it was there and we kind of focused on it, but we really didn't focus on it. But then when it was there smacking us in the face, we're like, well, what do we do with this? And so we turned it on. We actually had it on for a week, and then we turned it off. And the reason that we turned it off is because we realized that we wanted to lean into user experience. Right. Not everybody has YouTube Premium where they get to skip the ads and stuff like that. And if we are, I want you to think back. I said we're going to use those videos in social, and we're going to use it in sales, and we're going to use it in search. If you think of the user experience, if you use a video in your sales process and all of a sudden there's an ad, what does that really say about what you're like focusing on? I'm going to use this in sales, but I'm going to monetize it as well. Or if you're trying to be a happy, helpful human, and you're sending them these links and all of a sudden there's monetization on, do you not think that they read right through that? So we wanted to lean on, we've got this other foundation, so let's just turn monetization off and let's run our channel as it's just going to be about value. We're not worried about monetizing. Now, that's not for everybody, Rob, because it may be a valuable piece for you to leave monetization on. It may make sense for your business model to run with it. You may get a great CPM and you're like, yo, I'm making mad dough, G. Fine. Rock with it, but you have to not fall into this mentality that just because every other YouTuber says that you get to this place that you do it. Listen, if you're listening to this and you're running a business, you're not necessarily using YouTube to become a YouTuber. You're using YouTube as the gateway drug to the business that is generating the maximum revenue in all the different channels that you're applying it to. I'll stop there, Rob. Woo!
No,
I'm preaching right here, brother.
I know, right? Exactly. No, I think it is very important to share that message, because I think a lot of content creators that are just, kind of on the way up, everyone hears about monetization, AdSense, all that stuff, right? And from what I'm hearing from a lot of creators, they're not using it because they have other revenue channels that they'd rather send their viewers to, and it is more financially lucrative for them, for a business, to do that, to send them to like what you're doing here with courses and memberships, versus somebody that watches an ad in the middle of your videos, which then disrupts the whole experience for that viewer. And they're like, oh man, like it was so good, and then it got interrupted, and then I'm going to go change to a different video, and then you don't get to the opportunity to invite them to your membership or your courses. So
listen, I can make pennies on an ad, or I can make dollars on a member.
Exactly.
So why would I put that Grand Canyon in the middle of their entertaining educational video journey, and at the end know that like I'm leading them over to this thing that is like, follow the yellow brick road over here to Oz. Like, let's get you there. I don't want anything else in the way.
Absolutely. So smart. Awesome. We got a question here from Jay, and I'll answer this one. Jay wants to ask, I reached 1,000 subscribers. How will I reach 4,000 hours of watch time? This is for monetization using TubeBuddy. Jay, probably, the best thing is to join us tomorrow in TubeBuddy 101, where we'll do more of a deep dive into TubeBuddy itself, so that it's in more context. And then, we'll share some different ways that you can
Can I add to that though?
But yeah, go for it.
Can I add to that? Here's the thing. If you're not doing it yet, end cards. If you're not doing it yet, pinned comments at the bottom of your videos to playlists. If you're not doing it yet, make sure in your description you have links to different playlists, to different videos that could continue them on. Think about this. Like if you're building a train set, what's the next thing to get that train to finish the loop, the next piece of the track? So ask yourself in your end screens and all the elements that YouTube gives you, descriptions, end screens, comments, where can you lay another piece of that track to get them to the next video? That's it. That's how you get more watch time. One other thing. Create great video content that they actually want to watch.
That's right.
Anyway,
that's right. I love it. Yeah, I think that's really it. You're just trying to bridge the gap, right? You're just trying to like, also those cards, like the cards that pop up on the corner. Look at all the different watch time and like average watch time when people drop off, and then put cards right before the average drop off is on your videos. That way, before they drop off or change videos, put the little cards in there, that's where you catch them.
Let's get ninja with this, and also go into your YouTube analytics and see which videos are being watched the most, and make sure those videos are actually some of the videos that are in your cards. Or if you're trying to get subscribers, see what videos are actually getting the most subscribers, and make sure those are the next videos that you're showing them. So they
there you go.
Boom!
I love it. I'm just gonna leave the screen, and that you just man, you could do this all day. This is awesome. So
I love this stuff. I love it.
Jay, hopefully that answers your question there. Let us know if you have any other questions, and make sure you just join us in TubeBuddy 101 as well. We're always happy to be there with you. Alley Cat says, how can I monetize my channel if it's not monetization? I would like to do my channel. So I think, George, you answered this question already. There's basically looking at YouTube as not where you monetize, right, through ads and stuff, but looking at YouTube as sort of the top of your funnel. This is where people discover you, and then you send them through, to your website, to your, memberships and things like that. Is that what you're?
I think there's a couple of things, right? Because for some people, like having a full blown membership or courses might be like, whoo, geez, I don't know, like that takes time, and it does take time. So I think there's a couple different levels to this. I think, yes, you can absolutely do what we've done, and you can have a membership area, you can sell courses. I think the other piece of what we've done that you can lean into is partnerships with different brands, depending on what you're talking about, reaching out to them, having conversations, being the most human that you can in your videos so they actually know that you're going to represent their brands right. So partnerships, and then affiliates. Like if you, if you got this camera and this stand and this mic and you do an Amazon affiliate and you're like, want to see my setup, and there's your setup in your description. So there's like these little micro levels. I mean, even Patreon, right? Want to support me? $5. Like, like there's just other ways that you can start to generate and make money before you're sitting there like waiting, like, oh my gosh, like 6 more months and I'll be able to turn on YouTube monetization. Like, no, you could be turning on revenue way before that with all of these different like levels, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So Alley Cat, hopefully that answers your question. And really, George, what I wanted to, one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on here is because, yes, your channel is, almost 3,000 subscribers. Like you said, it's relatively small in the world of YouTube, but you guys have a full-fledged business on it. So, just to give us, like, how many people work on Sprocket Talk and Import Creative? Like, just to give us some like idea here, some framework.
Yeah. So again, remember, this is agency and a startup inside of an agency. So what it is we've got 16 people that work for the agency. Sprocket Talk, really, there's one individual that's like hardcore. That's me, like doing a lot of videos, doing a lot of the setup. There's also, we'll have guest appearances by other employees. They'll do a tutorial here, an interview there, right? So they have ways that they can add content in, or what we like to do is help build their thought leadership in the space, where they can actually use those in the sales process or the educational process with their agency clients that we're doing like inbound marketing retainers for and stuff like that. But then we also have the owner of the agency, Remington Begg, who is doing a lot of the behind the scenes kind of nerdy dev tech. Like, how do we make this actually show to these people and not show to those people? So really, there's like 2 people working on Sprocket Talk, the startup, with some guests here and there from the rest of the team. And that's really all we've used to create everything that we've created thus far in the last, what I'll say, year and a half from a platform, 2 years as far as creating content.
Yep. Yep, that's good. That's good. And again, guys, just to give you some framework on what that looks like behind the scenes, and that's kind of what we're trying to do here with Creators Corner is like tell all these stories. Because a lot of the time, George, like we get to see all these content creators and YouTubers and stuff, and you're like, you don't get the full story, you know, the people behind the scenes and what they're doing. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Got a question here from Atomic Darts, Matthew Harper. George, what are your thoughts on hiring a virtual editor? Is that something you guys have done?
Yeah, so we haven't done it yet, although I dream about doing it at some point, but it also scares the absolute crap out of me.
Yep.
Let me explain. I love to edit my videos because I know when I edit a video, I'm going to pay attention to that. It's the best that I feel that it can be because I know when I'm about to talk and when I'm about to shut up and when I should slice that together and when I want this special thing to come in. So, but I also understand that it's part of the process that if I could unload, I could just be shooting another video and like have more of a conveyor belt where it's being handed off to somebody else. So I think it's a great idea if you have a process in place where you understand that you can't and shouldn't control the process, but you have a way that you can control the quality that comes out the other side. So it's a thing there, but I think it's a good idea. I think anything that you're not great at should be offboarded to somebody else that allows you to be in your zone of genius more in the day than these other kind of tactical workings around it.
Yep, absolutely. Good answer. Yeah, Matthew. Yeah, even us at TubeBuddy, Andrew Can, who you guys all probably know, he is the face of TubeBuddy, and he does all of his own editing. I think we're looking at getting an editor, but it's for the longest time. I mean, it's just one of those things. A lot of creators love to do it, you know. But if you don't, like George said, then definitely it's something that you want to look at. One guy that you should probably look up, Matthew, is I would say Justin Brown, the guys at Primal Video. Those guys do teach ways to hire virtual editors, and they have resources on how to do that really well. And yeah, he's just phenomenal testimonials from how he teaches how to hire a virtual editor. You know, even for himself, people are like, "Hey, love the way that you're doing editing now. It looks so good." He's like, "I'm not doing it anymore." But yeah. So go check that out. Okay, we've got a question here. Let me see here. Okay, Going Full Nerd says, do you script your ideas prior to shooting? It's a good question. Thanks for the question.
I love that. Going Full Nerd, I've done it both ways. So when I first got into video, I didn't use a script at all. I would just flow from like what is my mind, because really going back to the intro, sales and marketing for 25 years. That's my research. I've been doing it, right? A guy in the trenches. But then I realized that I wasn't always hitting all the points that I wanted to hit. And so I went through this phase where it was just out of my brain to like, I would bullet point some things. Now I'm actually to the point, and I had to train myself and I had to set up my system in a way that it didn't look like I was using a teleprompter. But now I will actually create an entire script the way that I want to say things, and I will create it using a script. Now, what I want everybody to understand is even though I've scripted it in the moment, if I think of something else that I want to add, or if I just go sideways, I'll let myself go and I'll start to ignore like my teleprompter. And then I'll reach up and I'll like zoom it back to where I should have like been going. And then I'll start again because I know that I can fix it in editing. But again, it was the process of how do I make this look and sound the most natural where nobody would ever go, oh, that dude's reading a script. But again, I told you I'd be authentic and transparent. I have a little teleprompter. I only use my phone. It's a far enough distance, which by the way, but I'm looking at the camera that I use and it's behind a teleprompter. I am not teleprompting this, of course, but you cannot tell if I'm talking like this, you can't tell that there's something there. And because it's a phone and it's such a small teleprompter, you don't see my eyes going left and right. So there's just no way. Now there was a messy middle where I was like I even reached out to my buddy Nick Nemman, who is a baller, by the way, when it comes to YouTube education. He's like, bro, it like I can just tell a difference. Of course, he had also seen me communicate on the stage of social media marketing world as the MC. He's like, I can just tell the difference. And it almost made me stop, but then I'm like, no, I'm going to work through this. And I'm going to get to the point where I understand how to do my own inflection points, how I know how I'm going to add impact or pull back, so that when I edit it, which is again a reason why me tossing editing off to somebody else scares me, because I know I'm thinking about editing as I'm actually creating.
Right.
And so it's kind of like this hand in hand thing. But yes, going full nerd right now, I will. I do not script my screen recordings. I just do those out of my brain and in the tool because I've used HubSpot since 2012. But when it comes to this part of it, the intro, the outro, the additional like 4 tips before you end this video type thing, I always have those scripted out because I want to say them, not to sound smart, but I want to say them in a way that I'm giving the maximum amount of value in the least amount of time, so I can get people in and out from watching these videos.
Yep, absolutely. So good. So good. Yeah. So Matthew, let me know if that answers your question. George, can I show you what my last video, guys? This is, I use Trello as well. So I've done the bullet points, I've done the script, but for me, what's worked really well. And again, there's different ways you got to test out what works best for you. But George, this was my last bullet point for my last video.
Yeah,
literally. So guys, just put the bullet points in there, intro, the value, the outro, calls to action. And then if you guys notice there, I would just cross it off as I recorded. And so I recorded them in chunks, easier to edit for me. But yeah, hopefully that gives you some idea of what we're trying to do here. Also,
Rob,
George,
you just, but by the way, Rob just dropped he flew right by it. He flew right by it. Just dropped a magical tip.
Yeah.
When it comes to this question, scripting, not scripting, the tip that Rob just said is whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Like, but here's the thing. You can't figure out what works for you if you buy into somebody else's mentality of, oh, never script. Oh, always script. No.
Totally.
No. Try both ways. Try a whiteboard behind your camera, try a notebook, try a teleprompter, try just riffing. And if you do this time after time after trying these different ways, then only then will you figure out, oh, this is the best way for me. Let me use this moving forward.
I love that.
Not by listening to us.
Just doing. Yeah. Exactly. I think someone said, like, you can't learn how to do push-ups by reading a book on how to do push-ups.
Right.
But yeah, so
trust me, I've tried.
Me too. Another question from Matthew here, just to kind of build on that. What teleprompter are you using? Is there an app or anything that you can recommend?
Yeah. So the one I have is called Little Prompter. The one that I think I like better, but I just haven't purchased yet, is Parrot. Has a teleprompter that goes on the end of your lens, which is small. And again, I'm always trying to do small for travel, but also small because I want to use my phone, because then again, there's not the long reading left and right. So either Parrot or Little Prompter. And the app I use is the Parrot app, and it's a free version. It allows me to connect to Dropbox. It allows me to speed up or slow down. It gives me the mirror effect, so I can put it right up there. And it's just worked perfect. So what the process looks like, again, doing the screen recording over there. Then I write my script. I literally use Google Docs. I have a template. I make a copy of it. It's got part of it in there. I write the rest that I want in. I download it as a TXT file, slide it into Dropbox, open my phone, hit the prompter, hit the pencil, slide it on, hit my buttons, hit record. Like, again, notice it's a process. And I know that it's a process because I've repeated it so many times. It's like muscle memory to like drag, to punch and slide and record.
It's
like,
just
that's
easy.
How you got to get,
Second nature.
Easy question mark?
Second
easy
nature.
Question mark?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, it is.
It is. Yeah, no, you definitely get into just the flow. It just becomes really natural. And then also, just like, this is not the question, but also if you guys are looking at gear, like, George has everything set up. He literally sounds like George. You basically step where you're stepping now, and you turn everything on and press record and you just go. So when it comes to gear, I know we're not talking about gear here, guys, but a lot of people are like, hey, which cameras? Just like, sometimes a like a fancy camera or a fancier camera can be sort of like a hurdle for you, can be a stopper for you, can be a blocker, because you're like, I want to make this thing, but I don't know how to fully use my camera.
Yeah.
And so that's my reason not to make content today. You know, I have to study my camera, which is important too. And you have to level up. You have to find times to do that. But just be careful when you're trying to level up too fast. You're like, you go from like no equipment to like, you know, a black magic or something. You're like, oh, I don't know what to do with this thing, so I'm not going to make content today. So,
but the best answer to that, Rob, the best answer to that is, what camera should I use? The one you got.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best answer. If you go to my Sprocket Talk channel and you look at the first, I think it's 50 videos that we created, nobody will ever watch them and go, oh, he used the Brio webcam.
Yeah.
They'll never say that, but I did. Yeah. And they'll never watch the additional ones where like, oh, he switched to a cell phone. No, they'll never say that. They'll never say that. And nobody right now would know that I'm using a Canon SL2. No, nobody would know that. Now, did the quality get better over time? Yes, from a visual perspective. Was the quality already there from the communication that's happening to get them past the hurdle? Yes. So again, right, like when we talk about quality versus quantity, by the way, which is what we're talking about, I would beg you to focus more on the quality that is coming out of your mouth than the quality that is the camera and the lighting and the sound, because that will all come with time. You being the best communicator that you can be is highly more important than the rest of this fringe items that we talk about all the time.
So true. So true. So true. Thanks for sharing that, George. Matt, hopefully that answers your question with some ideas for teleprompter apps. Let me know if you have a follow-up, or definitely connect with George. Stephanie Carper on YouTube says, I do the same thing, George. I make an outline for my videos to make sure I cover certain points. With my personality, though, I always go off talking. I then edit in post. Yeah, so that's very common. So yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing, Stephanie. Awesome. Ali Cat says, never thought of that. Thanks for the tips, George. Also, Ross, I got your question here. It's going to be next, but I want to answer this one first. Came up first. So keeping it, Cassie says, how soon is too soon for affiliate programs or merchandise? You can sign up for affiliate programs really from like zero, right? So it's just a matter of, building the audience that will, go to your affiliate links and things. But your thoughts on that, George?
Yeah, I mean, from day one, you can start. There's this in the back of my cranium thought where two things. One, it is about having a community that you're talking to. So from day one, yes, you can have affiliates there and you can have merch in place, although your expectations of the sales or the monetization, like, make sure you're measuring that in a healthy respect. Just because you put it there doesn't mean all of a sudden, oh, we're going to be rich. However, I like the idea of it being there from the beginning, because as you grow your community and they're watching other videos and you're pointing back to them to historical content, then I think it makes sense. Merch to me is a really a sexy place that we want to get to with Sprocket Talk that we haven't gotten to yet. Like, I want to have a swag shop where people can get like a Sprocket Talk shirt or a Sprocket Talk hat or anything else that we would create around that. Because here's the thing, YouTube is about community. It is about, that's right. TubeBuddy does it right. I'm going to tell you, TubeBuddy does it right. But YouTube is about community, right? It is, sure, it's the world's largest, second largest search engine, but really it is about community. And so if you have some dope gear, some dope swag from the get-go, I mean, that's a very easy way to monetize with some shirts, some notebooks, whatever, stickers, whatever, pins. Like, there's just some cups. I mean, that I could keep going, Rob, but I'm not. They get the point. Like, there's so many things that you could give. And imagine, like, just do some stats, like how many people in the world drink coffee.
Right.
Now, how many of those people are going to be part of your channel and want a coffee mug every morning because they're your BFF in their own mind and want to drink out of it? Like, it's just a thing. Like, super sexy idea.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. I mean, affiliates, yes, anytime. But yeah, I think merchandise is more of a fan community thing, which will take longer, just even thinking for yourself, like for your own behavior, like what would make you buy someone's merchandise is because like they really delivered value and then you really want to support them. So yeah.
They're a thought leader, right? They're a thought leader. Like, so maybe part of the question is like, when is too soon? Well, if you're not a thought leader yet, or if that's not maybe your goal, or like you're not trying to like again, we go back to if it's a hobby, just maybe not. But if it's a business, and if you're trying to really like do this full time, then like I think as soon as possible. But again, paying attention to that community and that thought leadership piece that plays into this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Stuart has a question here. The YouTuber so it's Justin Brown, Ross from Livestream Universe. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, Justin Brown, Primal Videos. That's awesome. So that's them. Stephanie says, you have such great personality, George. We'll definitely be checking out your channel. So yeah, go look up George there, Sprocket Talk. He's got a couple channels. I'll put the other channel as well in the comments right after this. And we've got a question here. Speaking of Ross from Livestream Universe, good friend of ours. Love George's mic flag. Any recommendations for where to get branding added? You're amazing at this branding thing, man. Like everything is orange and green, and like, you know, like when I see that, I'm like, George, you know, Sprocket Talk. So what's your advice for branding when it relates to like YouTube and, you know, banners and things like that and thumbnails?
Yeah, you got to be consistent. First of all, you need to have it. It's table stakes. Like you just have to pay attention to it. But here's the thing: the comment really was about the flag for the mic. I told you I'd be transparent and authentic. Like this was a whole journey for me. If you do a search for mic tents, you'll get these websites where they're like 120, 150, $200. And I'm like, whew, my goodness. If you go on Amazon and you search them, you can find them for like a set of 2 for like $14.99. Now, they don't have anything on them and they're solid colors, but I typed in Amazon mic tent orange. And I found 2 of these that were orange and they're plastic. And then this right here, it looks nice, but it's just a sticker. It's a Sprocket Talk sticker on a $14.99 tent. But here's the thing. When I get on calls like this, or even back there, because you see I've got a mic, I guess, back there. When I'm on calls, people are always like, oh, man, are you a radio DJ part-time or what? It adds a perception of, again, remember, this whole conversation today is about quality and quantity. A $14.99 stand, a $14.99 tent, a pennies sticker, and this mic is an ATR 2100 for $49, right? Under $100 right here. And this will make people go, ooh.
You're a pro. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
No, love it.
It's like, so remember, there's this perception of what makes quality. And it really is the chasm between what people think they can achieve and what you're doing right in front of them.
Yeah, no, I love that. So there you go, guys. Ross knows his stuff. I appreciate Ross asking this question because he knows the answers. But no, I love it. Ross is awesome. And I mean, with live streaming as well, does a lot of StreamYard content, tutorials, and live streaming tutorials and podcasting. So Ross, thank you so much. Yes.
Rob, I want to pause you because I love what Ross did. And I actually want to use this as a life lesson, not necessarily a quality versus quantity. But masters of their craft always ask beginner questions because they want to make sure that they are getting every piece of education from the tippy top to the most advanced. So they're not afraid to ask those questions that they feel like they might already know the answer to because somebody might have a different perspective, a different answer. So masters always ask questions because they have an open mind. So Ross, thumbs up, my man.
I love that. I love that. So true. So true. Never be afraid to ask those questions. So Ross, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Okay, we've got a question here from Paul Morgan Tudor. I'm on 77 subscribers. What's your advice to get your first 100 subscribers? I think we covered some of those here, but yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts? Like today, what can Paul do today?
So my question to Paul, first of all, would be, are you using the question mark, whatever information to actually auto subscribe when you're sharing your channel? If you're not doing that on social, then go ahead and add that where, like, let's say you put out a piece of content, you're, hey, I just did an interview with David Winehouse from HubSpot about math your way to sales. And in that description that I share on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, instead of just come subscribe to our channel and it's like a normal dumb bit.ly link, it's actually the link where when they get to the channel, it's saying subscribe, the button's already there. And yes, so if you haven't done that, I would definitely make sure that's happening. One of the biggest things that I've done over time is actually asked people. Like I've literally done posts where, hey, I'm at 70, and this is not a sub for sub, by God, please do not think that that's what I'm saying, but I'll go to my community and I'll be like, hey, we're at 77 and we're almost at 100. If you're interested in this topic, come help us get there. And I've had a ton of people flood in and be like, oh, dude, I didn't even know you had a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But I asked, right? The other piece of this is make sure it's in your description. Make sure you have like subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you're saying it in your videos. Like at the beginning and at the end of every one of my videos, there's a little like subscribe that comes up. It's a visual representation. Like, but just don't leave it at that. Like literally ask them, hey, and if you're getting value today, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that we can continue to add value to your life. Like something super simple like that. Again, not selling subscription, but understanding or helping them understand, educating them to the fact this is how you're going to get more of me if you like what you're seeing.
Exactly.
There's a couple things that I've done over the
that's good. That's good, Paul. Hopefully that helps. And I like what you said there. Like if you just remind them what they're subscribing for. So tell them the value. Like if you're doing 5 tips on whatever it is, after the second one, like, hey, if you guys are enjoying these, these tips, make sure you subscribe because this is what I'm sharing every single week, right? So let them know that to subscribe. And also sometimes
here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, though. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
My brain immediately went to, well, why does Paul care about 100 subscribers?
Yeah.
Right? Why does Paul care about 100 subscribers? Now, if Paul can tell me it's because I actually get to unlock this feature where I can get my YouTube URL or I can get this other thing that's part of my strategy. Sweet. I'm glad you're focused on 100 subs because you're tying it back to something that's getting unlocked or something that I can do strategically because of that number. If you're not tying it to that.
Yeah. What is it? Yeah.
What is it? That's right. Great. So anyway, I want to throw that in there too.
Good advice. You know what I did too? When I started, before the 1,000, I said, I started using hashtag road to 1,000. I'm like, hey guys, like just come on this journey with me. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers by providing, value in my channel. But that was kind of fun. That was kind of like, bring people along with you and they enjoy doing that. And people love to support other people that, that they find value in. So yeah, that's awesome. Janet is here. Good to see you. Awesome. Paul says, yes, the URL. That's awesome. So, okay, we've got some really good questions here coming from CT Wilson, who I think is tuning in from the UK, if I'm not, not mistaken.
Worldwide, baby.
Worldwide. There we go. I make YouTube tips and tricks videos. Is it too saturated? I really enjoy helping others. So yeah, YouTube strategy, man. I don't think so. I mean, there are a lot, and it is a competitive space, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's saturated. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
doesn't matter. Listen, CT Wilson. Nobody was created like you. You're one of a kind. When you were formed in your mother's womb, you were sent on this planet for a mission. And if you feel like that mission is to teach people how to use YouTube better, then by golly, do that thing. Because it doesn't matter if Nick Nimmin or D Nimmin or Daryl Eves or whoever is in this space. What matters is that you're going to have a tribe of people that are going to be a fit for you. They're going to love your accent. They're going to love the way you look. They're going to love the way that you explain things, the way that you simplify them, the creativity element that you put in, like Rob just said, hashtag, journey to 1,000. Not everybody's going to do the things that you're going to do around this space. It doesn't matter if it's saturated because you can still become the best.
I love that. So good. I like that you said that he has an accent. He probably is saying like we have an accent.
Yeah. Right. Vice versa here.
Exactly. CT, hopefully that helps, man. Let us know if you have any follow-up questions. You also have a really good question here that I actually wanted to ask George as well. And so, George, you have a couple channels. You have your personal channel. You have the Sprocket Talk channel. CT's asking, is it bad to have 4 channels? I have a health one, vlogs, sports, and YouTube tips. So your thoughts on having different channels?
So I'm going to go in a wide range of things here. First of all, and not to, not to rain on your parade, but if you're a master of all things, you're a master of none, right?
Yep.
So maybe a couple channels, 4 channels, 5 channels, 6 channels. If you're the only person, maybe not. However, there are YouTubers who end up growing into multiple channels because there's multiple celebrities, if you will, or multiple people on these different channels, and they just kind of go in between one and the other and whatnot. So there's that whole thing. What I would say is pick what you're truly passionate about, what you really want to build a business around, and move in that direction with the most heat. Because again, this whole conversation was quality versus quantity. If you're trying to get velocity across 4 channels, it's going to be super difficult versus getting velocity in 1 or 2 channels. So maybe 4 is a lot, 2 might be right. Now, with that said, none of these really intersected with each other. So the strategy is sound, right? One's health, one's a vlog, one's sports, one's YouTube tips, and 2 might be a business and 1 or 2 might be hobby. Okay, that's not even a problem. Now, if you're saying I want to make a business out of all 4 of these, if it's a hobby, then go for it. Like vlogging, like if you're just natively like to like do that thing and you're not trying to monetize it or whatever, go for it. But here's the thing. If you're listening to this and you're not CT and you're like, should I have 2 YouTube channels? I don't have a problem with 2 YouTube channels. Again, I think there's a master channel that you're trying to just drill down velocity business, but there's going to come a time where there's this other thing that you want to talk about. And you've become so good at using YouTube and so good at using video that it just inherently makes sense for you to do that. That's where I've fallen into,
right? Because
HubSpot is way different than like professional, we'll call it, or teaching is way different than inspiring or speaking or like the personal side of who I am. So I have Sprocket Talk and I have the George B. Thomas channel. And on the George B. Thomas channel, I talk more about like life things as well as like the things that I speak about are over there. But really, it's kind of like, how can I take this journey that I've been on and tell my story and tell the way that the world has kind of made my brain work and present that to folks where it will be the right video at the right time for them. So for instance, again, I'm not transparency and authenticity. I don't use TubeBuddy to look at my metrics for my George B. Thomas channel. I get this feeling like I'm supposed to create a video and deliver it to the world. And I make it and I put it on my personal channel. And I don't focus on an algorithm. I focus on the universe. The universe is going to get this video in front of the people who need to see it when they need to see it. And so like I have a video that's don't worry, or I have a video that's don't stop, right? I am not targeting any freaking keywords in a video that's called don't stop, right? I'm not trying to like hack my way to anywhere. However, I've been invited on several podcasts because of the video don't stop. I've had a bunch of people reach out to me and tell me it's the right video, that they needed to hear it to keep going. Like it served its purpose. But again, it ties back to that one video for that one person, for that one hurdle. It's just, instead of it being HubSpot, it's like life. It's like the craziness that we go through. It's like, here are my, as an almost 50-year-old guy, which by the way, I probably just shocked some people. I'm just saying,
I know.
At least I'll act like I shock some people. As an almost 50-year-old guy, where do I put out these stories that have happened to me? Like I almost died 3 times, right? I've been in the military. I'm now creating content on YouTube. I work for an agency. I've been a pastor. Like there's just a whole lot of stories and a whole lot of things where I could like deliver them to the world, and people who are coming up or trying to come up, or just people in general can go, man, that was really helpful. And so that for me, 2 channels make sense, because I could never talk about like, hi, today we're going to talk about the email tool and how I almost died 3 times. Like that would just be a really weird video, right?
That would be a weird video. But if you do it well, that would be really interesting. But that's I mean, great answer, George. I think if you want to grow your YouTube channel, if it's a business channel, you have to be really focused. You have to be really niche. Like you guys have done it with Sprocket Talk, HubSpot. That's it. You guys don't talk about anything else. I mean, you'll talk about you'll talk about Canva and you'll talk about other tools and you'll talk about email marketing because it's related to the core.
It integrates. Anything that doesn't integrate to HubSpot, we don't talk about.
Yeah,
so HubSpot
exactly.
or things that integrate with it. Yep.
Exactly. But I like what you said there. And I think there's a lot of creators that get to a point where they grow one channel and they feel like they can't talk about anything else other than that one thing. And so, yes, then I think at that point, if the audience is different or if it's not the type of content that they would expect on that channel, then you have to build a secondary one. The example that comes to me, George, is actually Steve Dotto, a mutual friend of ours. I bumped into you guys. Literally, you guys were talking in San Diego and went in social media marketing world. So Steve had a channel where he talks about his productivity and stuff. And then he would also put these vlogs, these occasional vlogs. He was doing CrossFit or like, exercise vlogs and what he was, his regimen and, his day. And it was, he found that it was slowing his channel down. And so he split it up. And then, so he has a vlog channel and he has this like productivity work channel, and they both started growing faster separately. So really good example there if you guys want to check out Steve's channel. But yeah, so really good question. I think it's a common thing that a lot of people think about here. Awesome. So
here's one. I want to add one thing because you just unlocked something in my brain. The other time to think about this is if you are the YouTuber who's monetizing and you think that you're going to start to create content that might affect your monetization of one channel, you may split off to another channel. So for instance, I watch this guy, Jeremy Sears. He doesn't know me from a hole in the ground, but he's got this show called, and pardon my French, because I usually don't swear, but he's got this show. It's called Man Shit Monday. Right. And I love it because it's like tech stuff and it's like knives and it's man stuff. Right. And so sometimes he talks about whiskey and sometimes technology. But then he started to talk about cigars, and cigars is like a bad word, right, on YouTube. And so instead of continuing to talk about that or not talk about it, he split his channel into two. So where the one side is still kind of that normal stuff that you would get with like the carries and all this stuff. But then there's the C word, because I don't want to say it too many times on this video, but there's a C word over there that he talks about. So if something ever happened and that channel like took a squash, it wouldn't kill the other channel. So again, it comes back to thinking strategically. Is there a reason from a monetization, from a community standpoint, from a time and velocity standpoint of how you're going to create these channels, that they should be separate or just be one?
Yep. Good example there. Awesome. Ross's question. Do you have the answer for this, George? Do you still get super chat at 1,000 subs? I think it's a lot higher, Ross.
Higher than that.
For getting super chat.
Yeah, because I would have been using that bad boy. I think it's like 10,000, or it's a big number because I remember watching Nick and D on their like Saturday 8-hour, 6-hour. God, how do you stay on the internet that long streams? And they had the super chat, and I went and looked it up. So it's a bigger number than 1,000. Yeah,
way bigger. I think it's got to be 5 digits, I think. But no, that's good. Okay, let's see here. Okay, got some more questions here. CT does say he loves our accent. That's awesome. Thanks, CT. Awesome. Costa Loca here. So I'm going to share George's channel. If you look up Sprocket Talk, you'll get George's HubSpot channel, and then I'll also share his personal channel after this in the chats. Awesome. So Stephanie's got a good question here. Kind of piggybacking on the saturated question here earlier. What's your best answer to either too saturated niche question? I wondered the same thing, as I'm in the same niche as CT Wilson. We're all unique and have value to give. So thoughts on too saturated, maybe some strategy, some advice on how to get into a really saturated space. I've got a couple thoughts, but George, why don't you share some first?
Yeah. Again, I fall back on what I said earlier as far as that, but I'll say it in maybe a more simplistic way that can be strategic for folks. If you look at you're going into a saturated space, there are two things that come to mind. One, embrace authenticity. Like, just be you. Like if I could give you that out of this whole thing, being authentic right now, especially, is it just pays off in spades. Like I have had people through the years be like, the reason I love watching your videos is because I just know what I'm going to get. I know who you are. I know how you're going to communicate. I know what I'm going to get. So be you, be authentic. The other thing is that you're going to have to get really, really strategic with the content that you're going to create, because you know it is a saturated space. So pay attention to what questions aren't they answering? What didn't they say in the video that they should have said or could have said? And then the third thing that I'm going to say that I would attempt to do, if I'm going into a saturated space, I'm going to be BFFs with everybody in that space. And I'm going to do collabs till the cows come home. Because what a saturated space tells me is that there's already a community. And I just need some of their, and I don't mean this in a selfish way. Yeah, I mean this in a positive way, because I'm giving value to their channel. They're giving value to mine. But I just need part of that community to not only love that person, but to love me too. Right? Because there's enough time for most human beings to watch 2 or 3, 5, 7, 20 different YouTubers, depending on what's important to them. So again, you know, be you, be strategic, and BFFs with everybody in that space. That's where I would go.
I love that. I love that. Good tip, guys. Collaborations. We talk to a lot of content creators, and there's a lot of people that we are, you know, we're like the Niman brothers and Roberto Blake and Daryl and all the, like, they are all talking to each other. They don't see each other as competition. I think there's some friendly competition going on, but definitely like they see themselves as supporting each other. They're collaborating. They're on each other. They're interviewing each other. So yeah, that's a great advice. That's really good advice, George. Like, connect with those people. Don't be afraid to see them as like, oh, they're competitors. You know, like you said, like most people will listen to or kind of follow, 3, 5, 10 creators in one space. Like even in the vlog space, like for me, my wife, we like to watch travel vlogs in the Philippines, for example, right? As one niche. And we follow like probably 5 vloggers there, and we'll just like, hey, this is what's happening back home, and all that kind of stuff. So so hopefully that helps there. Also, if you really want to get like strategic though, I think, George, even in a saturated space, pick like something really specific, even more sub niche than like the main category. So like if it's YouTube, for example, like if you want to talk about thumbnails for like 20 videos, and you dominate thumbnails, for example, if that's something you enjoy, then really be the person for thumbnails, right? And then you start building your audience based on that. YouTube loves that because algorithms, they're continuing to suggest your videos. You make a playlist on thumbnails, all those things. And then you can talk about another thing within YouTube, right? As you grow your audience, but yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's see here if there's any other questions. Stephanie says, awesome, hustling in the grind as well. Love hearing from other creators, have the same passion. Awesome. This is really good. George, we're like well over an hour, so I think this is probably a good time to kind of like call it a day. But this has been really awesome, and I think there's way more questions that people are going to get, especially people that are tuning in for the replay. So what is the best place to catch George B. Thompson on the internet?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm pretty much everywhere. So let's just put it that way. You can go to LinkedIn and search for George B. Thomas. You'll find my personal profile there. You can go to Facebook. What's funny is Facebook is probably my most non-professional personal channel, but that's Mr. George B. Thomas. Or you can search Sprocket Talk. You'll find the page. There's also HubSpot Sprocket Talk, the Facebook group. So if you are a HubSpot user and you're watching this, head into that. Obviously, you can go to Sprocket Talk. You can sign up for a free membership or a paid membership, and you'll have access to me one-on-one in the Slack channels. And that's probably good enough. But if you need another one, there's also Twitter, at George B. Thomas on the Twitter. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, you can even email me, george@impulsecreative.com. I don't care. Like, if you have questions, I got answers. I'm going to answer them. I love helping people. Again, for me, I tie it all back to that. I really want to be that catalyst for growth for other folks. And so anything that I can do to help you with that, let me know.
I love it, George. George, you're a good man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Really miss hanging out with you in person. This is a picture of me and George just a couple months ago. Man, we were, hanging out in sunny San Diego, and man, do I miss that for sure. But soon enough, man, we'll hang out. But really, guys, thank you so much for tuning in live. If you guys have any other questions, make sure you just connect with George on all his different channels. If you're watching this on the replay, feel free to leave a comment as well. We do monitor the comments, and so we'll make sure we get those answered. But yeah, everybody that tuned in live, thank you so much. And we'll see you tomorrow. We'll have Adrian Salisbury from Ecamm joining us. All right, George, hang out for a couple of minutes. But yeah, guys, thank you so much.